Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome back to another on-the-road video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Today, we'll be taking a look at the drive belt on this GE electric dryer. To begin your repair, you must first remove the console. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for the proper voltage. Now first, we will have to work on the back of the unit. There is one plate that's held on here. Got a couple of 1/4-inch screws going around. You'll have to take these out. Next, let's just pry this back. Lift it up. We have one ground screw on the bottom that will need to be removed. Pull this off and set the plate aside. Next, we need to drop the console. To drop the console, we have two 1/4-inch screws, one on each side. And then we're gonna hit back. So use your palm, knock it back here, knock it back here, flip it forward. Now we have all the wiring. So what we'll need to do at this point is obviously remove the wiring. There's a lot of different types of strain relievers on some of these. You got one main Molex here. We'll have to press down, pull it apart. You press on this end here. You'll press the tab down inside to pull apart. Next, you're gonna have to take out all of this wiring. So we'll start with the relays. Now would be a really good time to take a picture of the board. If you haven't already done so, make sure you take a picture so you can see where each one of these go. Again, start prying them off. When you pull on these relays, make sure you put pressure on the actual relay while lifting up. We have the connector on the top here. This will also have to get pushed through. I use the tag puller. It's a little clip on the side. Kind of pushes in, pushes down, and you can set your console aside. Now that we have the console set aside, we can start to remove our top. To remove your top, we have two circular guards here that have to be taken off. We'll start on the left side. It's held on by one 1/4-inch screw. Pull it off. Now inside we have one ground screw, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to move the wiring harnesses down inside the cavity. So as you can see, this one is still held on. Green ground screw on the chassis, take it out. Now we have separated the wiring harness. We can go ahead and push that one in, take off this piece here. Also held on by one 1/4-inch screw. You pull out. Just be careful. You can grab the wiring when you're pulling it out. We will undo the strain reliever here. Go ahead and gently put your harness back inside the cavity. Next, we have two screws, both Phillips, one on each side, that will have to be removed. Grab all your stuff, set it aside, and we will move around to the front. Back at the front, let's just go ahead and open the door. We have 2 Phillips screws underneath that will need to be removed. Go ahead, set these aside. Try to push back on the top panel some. Lift up and set it aside. With the top panel set aside, next we're going to start to remove the front panel. We have a couple of screws that will need to be removed in the front here, all Phillips. Once we remove these, we will switch over to our 1/4 inch. Now, before you pull your front forward, make sure you remove the wiring harness. Just pinch it, pinch the end, pull it apart. We have 2 1/4 inch screws on the top. I recommend just holding your leg there when you take those off so that it doesn't spring down. Drop it forward. We will reach down, undo the wiring harnesses on the bottom. Once you undo the wiring harnesses, tip it down, start to lift it off the bottom. Lift up and set it aside. Now that we have the front panel removed, we have clear access to our belt. The main reasons why you'd be replacing a belt is if it is stretched or if it is broken. Now, to remove your belt, first we'll just slide our hands inside. You'll feel an idler pulley and then you'll feel the motor shaft. Pull back on the idler, take the belt off of the motor shaft, gently let the idler go back into place. Pull up on your belt. Start to slide it out. And set your belt aside. To install your belt, first we will lift it up. You do not want it to sag down on the bottom too much and get hung up on things. So just get it going around the drum and then lift up and just slide it back and forth until you get it in about the correct placement, which on here I believe was the 2nd notch on the drum. We will reach in, grab our idler pulley, just kind of wrap it around here so you don't lose it. Pull your idler back. You have to really torque on it, pull it back, line it up in place. The ribbed side of the belt is going to be what actually goes on the motor shaft, so make sure the flat spot is going out, the rib spot's going around the motor shaft. Let your idler go. Now we can reinstall the front. When reinstalling your front panel, we will line up the bottom and drop it in place. You will have to give it some pressure on the top to push it down. We will reinstall our wiring harnesses. Next, when you're bringing the front in, what you'll want to do is lift up on the drum, slide the front bearing in it, and start to line up the sides in place. Push it in place. Reinstall your front holding screws. We'll reinstall the top wiring harness, open the door, reinstall the internal screws. Now we can reinstall the top. When reinstalling your top, first we're going to bring it in at an angle. Then we're going to start pushing these wiring harnesses inside. First wiring harness in, I'll slide the pink one in. Just go ahead and bring it back. Slide back a little bit and pull forward, so kind of lock it in place. You shouldn't be able to just lift it straight up. Let's go ahead and reinstall the Phillips screws in the front. What I like to do with these is I like to put them in by hand first, because sometimes you have two holes to go through here, here, and then meet up to a hole at the top. Doesn't want to always line up, so put it in by hand before you start drilling. Go ahead and close the door, and let's return to the back. Now that we're at the back of the unit again, let's just go ahead and set everything we'll need right on top. Pull out your harness, slide it into the strain reliever, and twist it back into place. We will reinstall the bottom Molex here. Now, if you remember correctly, we had a ground strap that was screwed in. Now you have one main ground strap here. One is longer than the other. There's a square end and there's a circular end. The circular end is the one that gets reinstalled inside the chassis. So what we'll do, just pop that screw in it, hold on to the bit, bring it in, drill it down. Next, we need to reinstall the covers here. They have a bent down kind of tooth on each end that will go into the slotted area on the hole here. So bring it in place, slide it back. On this one, that ground strap wants to push against it a little bit. Just hold it in place. Reinstall your screw. Let's go ahead and do the one on this side. It's kind of hard to see the tooth end on the other, but if you lift the wiring harness up, you'll see it. Slide it back in place, and once again, reinstall the holding screw. And finally, we have the two screws that are on the back. Now, these Phillips screws sometimes can be difficult to find where they need to go, so I recommend bringing them in by hand, finding where they thread in, and just give it a twist. Same on the other side. If you go in at an angle, the screw will fall too far down, so try to go down as straight as you can. Screw them back in. Make sure your wiring looks okay. Now we can reinstall the console. When installing your console, first we'll lay it in place. Next, of course, you're going to reinstall all your wiring, starting with the Wi-Fi plug-in piece at the top. Slide it in, pop it out, clip it in place. Next, just go through and start to reinstall all your wiring. For the actual relays, I'm going to refer back to the picture that I took earlier to see which one gets plugged in where. So red wire on the end. Followed by the orange wire. Followed by the blue wire. Now we will pull the console back into place. These little teeth here will go into the slotted areas on the top of the dryer. Make sure you drop it down. You'll want to move it back just a tad bit. It'll drop down in place. Give it a little nudge to kind of lock it in. Reinstall our 2 1/4-inch screws. We'll reinstall the ground strap, get it into place. The strap itself had 1 small washer, as well as the green screw. Drop it into place. See which side it goes on. This one is going to be this side. Start it by hand, tighten it up. Let the ground go in. We will drop in the edges into the slotted area provided on the console. Reinstall the 1/4-inch screws around the perimeter. And this will complete your repair. Thank you for watching another quality video from ApplianceVideo.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure you click the like and subscribe to our channel.